In the second lecture of the subject, we are moving on to this much contents. One is force, its effects and characteristics, particle and a rigid body, system of forces, and two principles regarding forces, physical independence and transmissibility. So these are the things which we are going to discuss in today's class. We'll see each of them. First, we will see force. Force is a very important thing regarding engineering mechanics, because force is that which causes motion, which can retard motion, which can stop motion, and which can accelerate motion. What is a force? Force is actually an agent which produces or tends to produce, destroys or tends to destroys motion. Okay, it can produce motion, it can tend to produce motion, it can destroy and tend to destroy motion. Okay, you take the example. Here is an example given. A hose applies force to pull a cart. Okay, hose can apply a force. Hose have to apply a force to pull the cart. Okay, another important thing regarding the forces, it may not necessarily produce a motion, but it may simply tend to do so. For example, there is a rock having some 100 kg weight. Okay, so we may not be able to move the rock, but we can apply force on the rock. Okay, so that is the case. Force may not move the body always. It can tend to move the body. We can apply force, but it will not move sometimes. So that is about force. And we'll move on to the effects of force. What are the effects which can be caused by force? It may change the motion of a body. You take the example of a ball. Okay, a ball on a table. The ball was stationary first. Okay, when we push the ball, we will give some force on the ball. Okay, then the ball starts moving. So it may change the motion of a body, because first the ball was stationary. When we apply a force, it will start moving. So its motion is changed. It may retard the motion of a body. Now we are restricting the ball to move. Now what will happen? The ball will slow down. So it can retard, slow down the motion of a body. It may retard the forces already acting on a body, the same example which we have given earlier. It may give rise to internal stresses on a body. For example, if you are taking an aluminium plate or something, we are applying a high force on it, what will happen? That aluminium plate will get deformed. The deformation is caused due to the internal stresses in the body. So that is also an effect of a force. So these are the main effects caused by a particular force. Now, what are the characteristics of a force? There are main four characteristics mainly. One is magnitude, other one is direction of a force, and nature of the force, and the point at which the force acts on the body. So these are the main characteristics of a force. We will see each of them. First one is the magnitude of the force. Magnitude means how much is the force acted on the body. For example, here there is a particle. We are applying force on the particle. Okay, we are applying a force 14 kilonewton on the particle. So 14 kilonewton is the magnitude of the force. There are different types, different amounts of force. Okay. So how much is the force acted on this body? It is 14 kilonewton. So we can say that the magnitude of the force is 14 kilonewton. And in which direction the force is acted? The force is acted at 30 degree from the horizontal. The force is acted at 30 degree from horizontal. So we can say that the direction of the force is 30 degree from the horizontal. So this is the direction of the force. Now point of application of the force, or the fourth nature is point of application of the force. So here there is another body. We are applying a force here, and the point at which the force is applied on the body is this. So this is known as the point of application of the body. If this force line is extended, we can say that this is the line of application of the force. So point of action and line of action of the body, action of the force. So this is about the fourth point. And another one is the nature of the force. Nature means the force can be of two types. One is push and the other one is pull. Okay, if you are applying force in the opposite direction, then it is known as push, and if you are applying force towards us, then it is known as pull. So this is about the nature of the force, push and pull. So these can be termed as the characteristics of the force: magnitude, direction, point and line of application, and nature. Now we will see the system of forces. We have discussed about only one force acting on a particular body. Now we are going to discuss about a number of forces acting on the same body simultaneously. In that case, what may be the situation? If two or more forces are acting on a body at the same time, then they are known as system of forces. Two or more forces are acting on a body, then they are known as system of forces. Okay. There are many types of system of forces. Coplanar forces are there, collinear forces are there, concurrent forces are there, coplanar concurrent forces are there, coplanar non-concurrent forces are there, non-coplanar concurrent forces are there, non-coplanar non-concurrent forces are there. So these are the general seven types of system of forces. But if you know the first, second and third system of forces, you can it is easy for you. The rest of the things you may know easily. So that is the thing. We will see each of them. So a number of forces acting on the same body simultaneously. So we can see first coplanar forces. What do you mean by coplanar forces? So here you can see an object. Okay, let it be a table, the top of the table. Okay, table is there. We are applying force on the top of the table. So a number of forces are acting on the top of the table. Then we can say that it is a coplanar system of forces. Coplanar system. So because all the forces are acting on the same plane. Same plane means the surface of the table. So we can say that it is coplanar forces. So the forces whose line of action are on the same plane, then it is known as coplanar forces. Hope you got it. Second thing is collinear forces. Collinear forces means if two or more forces are acting on the same line, then it is known as collinear. For example, here two forces are there and they will meet on the same line. Then we can say that these forces are collinear forces. Collinear. Third thing is concurrent forces. Concurrent means all the forces will meet at the same point. Whether they may be diverging from the same point or they may be converging to the same point. So all the forces will meet at some point on the same point. Then that type of forces are known as concurrent forces. Here you can see that all the points, all the forces F1, F2, F3, F4 and F5 will meet at O. So we can say that all these forces are concurrent forces. Now, if you know all the collinear, concurrent and coplanar forces, then it may be easy to you for understanding all the other five forces. So coplanar concurrent means all the forces will meet at the same plane, but it is not yes, all the forces will be meeting on the same plane at the same point. Then it is known as coplanar concurrent. Here you can see that it is on the same plane and it is meeting at the same point. Okay, these two are diverging from the same point. Anyway, they have a common point. These three are converging at the same point. So we can say that this type of forces are coplanar and concurrent. Next type of forces, coplanar non-concurrent. So they are acting on the same plane. They may be acting on the same plane, but they will not meet at the same point. Then that type of forces are known as coplanar non-concurrent. Here you can see that this is a plane. They are acting on the same plane. Okay, on the same plane only they are starting or they are diverging or converging, but they are not meeting at the same point. Then that kinds of forces are known as coplanar non-concurrent forces. Another forces, this is actually 6, I mean it was a mistake. So non-coplanar concurrent forces. Non-coplanar concurrent means they are not acting on the same plane, but they are converging at the same point. Then they are known as non-coplanar concurrent. The forces which meet at one point but their line of action do not lie on the same plane. So this is 7. Non-coplanar non-concurrent forces. They are not meeting on the same plane, neither they are meeting on the same at the same point. So this type of forces are known as non-coplanar non-concurrent forces. Hope you got it. The next thing we have to discuss is particle and rigid body. We have to know on which body the forces are acting. So there are two types of bodies. One is particle and the other one is rigid body. Particles are very small, infinitesimally small volume and is considered to be a concentrated point. For example, if you are taking sugar, there are small particles in that. So each of that is known as particle. Each of that white mass is known as particle. Or in case of salt also there is small particle. So we can say that it is particle. Okay. On the other hand, a rigid body is a body which can retain its shape and size even if subjected to some external forces. For example, an iron rod. Okay, iron rod. If you are applying force on it, its shape will not change. Okay, that type of bodies are known as rigid body. All the bodies are made up of small particles. Even the rigid body is also made up of particles. But the particles in that body are tightly held. They are very much sticked together and they are compacted together. Okay. In practice, no body is perfectly rigid. For simplicity, we take all bodies as rigid bodies. Okay. So this is about particle and rigid body. Particles are very small mass and volume, and rigid body is a combination of particles which are tightly held. A body which can retain its shape and size even if subjected to external forces. So this is an example of a particle and rigid body. So here there is a rigid body. So there is a rigid body here, and these are the particles in the rigid body, boundary particles in the rigid body. Here there is another rigid body, these are the particles. Here you can see particles, particles of a fluid. There is another rigid body here. So this is about particle and rigid body. Now another thing you have to know is the resultant force. So there are many forces acting on a body. Then there is a we have to find the resultant of the forces. What is this resultant? It is a single force which would replace all the forces simultaneously acting on a body and produce the same effect as produced by all the forces known as the resultant force. So if there are many forces acting on a body, for example P, Q, here there are two forces P and Q, but we don't know what is this force. What is Q and what is P, we don't know. Then we can easily find this P and Q by a single force known as the resultant force, which can produce the same effect as Q and P does. Okay, so a number of forces are acting on a body, simultaneously on a body. Now you don't have to find all the forces, you have to just find the resultant. Resultant means a force, a single force which can produce the same effect as all the forces on the body. So that is known as resultant force. A single force which can produce the same effect as all the forces on a body. Here you can see two examples. This is a truck or a trolley. You can take it as anything. And there are two forces acting on the body. A 60 kilonewton along the right and a 30 kilonewton along the right. So there are two forces acting on the same direction. Since these two are acting on the same direction, we can say that the resultant the resultant will be in the same direction along the right. Now what is the resultant? What is the magnitude of the resultant? 60 along right and 30 along right. So the same direction they are acting two forces. Okay. So the resultant will be 60 plus 30, 90 Newton to the right. We can say like that. Another case is, this is a truck or trolley, whatever it is, 10 Newton to the left and 30 Newton to the right. So in opposite direction they are giving the forces. So which is the highest force? 30 Newton, because it is given to the right. Okay, given to the right 30 Newton is given. So 30 Newton is the highest force. So we can say that the resultant will be in this direction. Whichever is the greater force, in that direction the resultant will be. Okay, when it is collinear force. So towards the right, what is the resultant? Here 30 Newton is provided and here 10 Newton. This 10 Newton will get neutralized by this 30. Okay, in opposite direction 30 is given. So this 10 Newton will get neutralized. The remaining is 20 because 30 minus 10 is 20 Newton towards the right. So this is about resultant force. Okay, a single force which can produce the same effect as all the other forces. It is known as resultant force. Now we will move on to some principles regarding the force. We are talking about forces. So there are some principles regarding the forces. There are two main principles. One is the principle of physical independence of forces, and the other one is the principle of transmissibility of forces. So we'll first see the principle of physical independence of forces. It is same as the explanation for resultant, because if a number of forces are simultaneously acting on a particle, then the resultant of these forces will have the same effect as produced by all the forces. This is same as the definition for resultant. It is known as physical independence. If there are a number of forces acting on a body, then the resultant of the body will have the same effect as all the forces. For example, here a picture is given. There is a dog, its name is Fido. Okay. Fido has a chain on its at its neck. Okay. We are applying force upward as well as sidewards. We can apply force in both directions, upward as well as sidewards. But the resultant of the force will be in this direction. Okay, and it will produce the same effect as this plus this. So upward force plus sideward force will give the same effect as this. So this is known as the physical independence of forces. The resultant of the force will have the same effect as all the other forces does. Okay, so this is known as physical independence of forces. Second thing is the principle of transmissibility of forces. So what do you mean by transmissibility? So we have discussed about a rigid body. Here you can see another rigid body, a rectangular rigid body, a square rigid body is there. We are applying a force at this point on the rigid body. Now this is the line of action of the force. So we can say that the force applied here will be equal along this line of action. Then that is known as the principle of transmissibility of forces. It states that if a force acts at any point on a rigid body, it may also be considered to act at any other point on its line of action, provided this point is rigidly connected with the body. This is applicable only in case of rigid bodies. If a force acts at any point in the rigid body, then the same force will be acting on every part of that rigid body through the line of action, only through the line of action. So that is known as principle of transmissivity. Here the force is acted at this point, the same force will be acting at this point too. Here the force is acting at this point or along this line, at every point the same force will be acting. Force is acted at this point also, along the line the same force will be acting. This point also, along the line the same force will be acting. So this is known as the principle of transmissibility of forces. So this is all about forces. Now we have seen what is a force, what are the different effects of the force, what are the different characteristics of a force, what do you mean, what are the different systems of forces. If a number of forces are acting on a single body, then what are the different systems of forces, and what is the resultant of a force, what are the different principle of physical independence and principle of transmissibility of forces we have seen. So this is about today's lecture. Before moving on to the next lecture we will see the composition of forces. Composition of forces means we are finding how to find the resultant of a force. Okay, the process of finding out the resultant of forces is known as composition of forces or compounding of forces. There are different methods for that. Analytical method is there, graphical method is there. Analytical method is again divided into two: parallelogram law of forces and method of resolution. So we will see these methods in the next class. So this is all about today's lecture. Thank you.